Maseches Bava Metzia. Maseches Bava Metzia. Daf. Yeah. Daf Nun Aleph Amud Aleph. Still in the sugiyah of Ona'a. Okay. Yeah. We're after the Mishnah. And we are in the two dots. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eneno Lataga. Line starts with the word Lataga. So in the Mishnah, we saw two opinions. We saw two opinions in Mishnah regarding whether Tagal has Ona'a or not. The Pashup Pshat means, according to Tanakama, everybody has Ona'a, which means everybody is allowed to claim and say, I was cheated, be it the buyer, be it the seller. And at this happy moment, all of you have to absolutely convert and change from one person to the other. Stop thinking that every seller is either shrewd or a liar or has some interest in please, we started already, or has some interest in whatever, that if he underpriced, that for sure he knows what he's doing and he's underpricing because it's a loss leader. No. People sometimes are underpriced because they're underpriced. Why? Because they were cheated. Even a regular person, goes to Beis Din and says, listen, everybody else in the market, they sell that product for 50 shekels and that guy bought it for me 40 shekels, right? That means I was underpriced and I didn't know. No, I didn't know. If he can prove otherwise, great. But as long as he says I was underpriced, according to the Nakam, he's believed even if he's a businessman. And as I told you, and Mechavrusa agreed with me that it actually makes sense. Today we have, as I told you yesterday, we have big companies, big chains, big networks of shops, and they allow themselves to really go into a loss with one product or one shop because they're going to gain on the bigger spectrum. Back then, when it's a small business, you can't do that. Small businesses can't just, lose money in order to this and that. Sometimes, yes, as we're going to see later in the Gemara, but it's not the given. It's not the assumption. The assumption is if it was undersold, it was undersold. It was underpaid, the seller. That is the opinion of Tanakama. Says Rabbi Yehuda. No, says Rabbi Yehuda. A tagar is no, a person is a professional salesman. A person actually owns a shop. He's the soicher, is the merchant. A tagar is a merchant. Such a person, he cannot claim I was underpriced by the buyer. The Gemara, Mishum Shu Tagar Eno, just because he is a seller, doesn't apply to him. Doesn't he have the rights to have meaning to claim and say he was underpaid? Amav Nachman Omarav Betagar Safsar Shonu. Now everyone will be happy. Depends what kind of tagar. Tagar Safsar is a term which we saw in the previous sugiyah, is a person who buys and sells constantly every day. What he bought today, he sells today. He's mamish, a wheeler, dealer, like the stock market. Every second they buy and sell, right? On the screen. Yeah, he buys and he sells all the time. And therefore, by him, you guys are right. He has no claim to say, I was underpriced. Why? My time. Why is that? Because he buys and sells all the time. He buys from the wholesaler and he sells to the regular people, to the customers. Mimela, he knows how much it's worth. Says Rashi, he remembers. Oh, now they will answer all your questions. That Rashi is the gem. Why? Because the person who bought and he remembers 5 hours ago, 10 hours ago, I bought that piece for X. I know how much it's worth. Now I'm selling it for X plus something. I know what I'm doing. And and therefore there's no obeying, as opposed to other people who may have forgotten. In other words, the person who bought from the wholesaler and now he gives it he sells it a week later, months later to the customer. Maybe he forgot how much he paid for it. And that's why it was underpriced. He forgot. That could happen. Now, the achuli achil gabei. He was moichel. In other words, that what's his name? That Tagar Safsar was a wheeler dealer. He's a shrewd guy. He was moichel when he was underpriced. That was his own choice. How much look you all said? But why did he undersell himself? Why did he really choose to go that low and go below any profit. Why did he go so low? Because he has another offer. He's a very smart, quick guy. Somebody else offered him to buy something else, and he needs something called QC, quick cash. He needs quick cash, QCN, quick cash now. And that's why he's willing to go through a loss, through a one-time loss, in order to quickly get cash for another deal. Now, why is he now whining in Beis Din? Why is this Tagel Safsal comes in Beis Din and he says, I was underpriced. He underpriced me, paid me too little. Why? He's coming to Beis Din now claiming against the buyer. The hashta now, that fox, that the shrewd guy, he's not regretting. He's not regretting being underpaid. That's a seichel. Now he's going to Beis Din playing the underdog, saying, "Oh, I was underpriced. Help me." And therefore, in such a case, we say, "You, according to Rabbi Yehuda, only tagar safsal, a tagar who knows how much everything costs. We assume that he does it out of choice, right? Because of the business, and he knows what he's doing. Such a tagar, he really has no rights to claim, I know. What you guys kept saying all the time applies only to this kind of tagar, and only according to Rabbi Yehuda. Chachamim say no. Chachamim are not your friends. Chachamim say no. Chachamim say, I don't care who's the tagar, the shmagar, the bagar, the kagar. Lemaise, if a person was undersold, he was undersold. He was undersold. That's chazokeh. Rabbi Yehuda is the one who's mechadesh that some people undersold out of choice, and we can prove that they remember what they're doing. That's one shot. Rav Ashi Omar. Now, Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi has a completely, I've never seen a machlokes so extreme in my life, almost, yeah. Rav Ashi explains Rabbi Yehuda's line. Who's Rabbi Yehuda? Etana. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? He said the words, Ein oino litago, right? Rabbi Yehuda says, oino, what means there is no oino? The words there is no oino are very big words. According to the pshat we had up until now, which is Rav Nachman, a tagar cannot claim I'm the underdog, I was underpaid. Says Rav Ashi, no, just the opposite. My en tagar oino. You know what it means when Rabbi Yehuda said in the Mishnah, the tagar has no oino. It means eino b'toras oino. The level, the percentage of oino doesn't apply to him, which means shafilu pochas mikdoino choizer. Because the tagar is such a shrewd guy and he knows very well what he's doing, and I don't say we suspect him of cheating, but he's on our radar. Mimela, if the tagar sold somebody else less than kedei oino, how much is less than oino? Less than 6. We'll go back to the 60s. With less than a 6, regular, we all said, we agreed, Shulchan Aruch. If I sell you something, I sell you this cup instead of, 1 shekel, 1.20 agorot, it's mechila, right? You don't, here, if he sold even less than a 6 extra, the tagar, he overpriced even a little bit, then we can cancel the entire deal. A tagar we treat more harshly. You should be happy, right? The tagar is looked at as questionable, so dafkaim we treat mamish the opposite. Yeah, Rav Nachman says in the tagar means to say the tagar is docha misken. The tagar can also be underpriced. And the tagar, excuse me, no. Rabbi Yehuda says no. The tagar is not a misken, and the tagar no. No. I made a mistake. I told you I'm not in a good mood today. No. No. I'm sorry. I am sorry online. Confessing. All over. No, I'm not going to record again. That's again. I'm not feeling well today. Says Rashi, mistake Hosham de Begaden goes down, and that's why it's an extreme machlokes. Says Rashi, im nisano. Excuse me, just the other way around. Excuse me. If the tagar was cheated, the tagar has somebody who bought from him and underpriced him. That underpricing, instead of giving him 6, he gave him 5.5, which is less than a 6, right? Then the tagar can cancel the entire deal. Why? A tagar can be looked at as a poor guy because the tagar, says Rashi, needs it kedei chayav. Chayav tluim bezeh. That's his work. That's his business. Yeah. Misken, that tagar, that's his life. Yeah, when you buy something, you're a customer, you gain something nice in your hands, and you have your complaints. But the tagar, his life depends on every shekel. Think of a small business that's starting, or even a big business. His life depends on that. So because it's his parnasa, Chachamim were nicer to him, as opposed to Rav Nachman that looks at him as a shrewd guy who say, no, he's the guy who really needs to make every penny makes a difference for him. Even 1 agora, even 10 agora, 20 agora makes a difference for his life. Or maybe sometimes it's bigger amounts, but it's less than shtus. He can always tell the guy who bought from him, you underpriced me even in less than the shtus, and can cancel the deal. So now let's continue, and then we'll summarize the 2 shitas. We really have just one more shita. Let me go back here. Let me just summarize. So we have 2 extremes here. Rabbi Yehuda the Tana made this statement. What's the statement? Ein oino letagal. Ein oino letagal. Oino and tagal don't go together. What does it mean? According to Rav Nachman Amoira, it means to say, you tagar, if you're tagar safsar, if you're one of these wheeler dealers, you know what you're doing very well. We don't believe you that you're underpriced and you're a little shepsele. You're underpriced because you wanted to be underpriced. You for sure know what you're doing. You're Marks and Spencer, you're Rami Levy, and you underprice sometimes because that's good for your business life. And now you're coming crying because you changed your mind. That's one way. The other extreme is the other way completely. Rav Ashi says just the other way around. Rav Ashi says, no, a tager is the person who really needs to live. And every shekel makes a difference. That's his livelihood. He's not a computer programmer or a lawyer in his free time. His life depends on every shekel. Sometimes every shekel makes a difference to buy food for his children. Baruch Hashem, you don't know about that. So Mimela, what? Mimela, we say a tagar doesn't have the luxury of up until 6 to be moichel. He's not moichel. And if the guy cheated on him, then he can claim and go to the guy and say to the buyer, you underpriced me even in less than a 6. Let me just see the sequel and then I'll hear your question. There's a brisa that supports Rav Nachman that views the tagar as a shrewd guy. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, quoting a brisa, quotes Rabbi Yehuda, because the 2 Amoraim, Rav Nachman and Rav Ashi, argued about what Rabbi Yehuda the Tana said. That's why it's Rabbi with a Yud, because he's a Tana. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, tagar en lo ino, mipnei shu boki. A tagar has no ino because he's boki, because he knows what he's doing. He's well versed. He knows what he's doing in the business. He's knowledgeable in the business, and that's why we don't believe him when he says he was underpriced unknowingly. Rabbi of the Peanut Gallery, Harav Yaakov Shlita, can raise the topic here. Yeah. Don't get confused. We are going now back to Nun Amud Beis because the Gemara will now deal with the brisa. The Gemara is going to compare that brisa to the Mishnah, and then we're going to see our Gemara. Says the brisa, and it's always good to see Chazara, to do Chazara. Tani kavose derove. Oh, 10 lines from the bottom of the page, if I counted right. I don't know how to count. From Nun Amud Beis, oino poches mishtus. Oino, overpricing or underpricing, less than the shtus. Nikna, mekach, right? The mekach is bought through nothing. Mechila, nothing happened, right? Less than a shtus. Yeser al shtus, if the under overpricing was more than a shtus, then botal mekach, the whole mekach is cancelled, is the nothing. Yeah, the whole thing is cancelled if whichever side is interested. Shtus, kono umachzirno diva Rabbi Nosson. Mark the words of Rabbi Nosson. Rabbi Nosson says, if it's just a sixth part, then the buyer bought, he cannot give back the product and cancel the deal. He'll only claim back the extra that he paid. Instead of 600, you charge 700. I'm asking for 100 shekel, but I'll keep my phone. And I cannot give you back the phone and say, Schwindler. No, that's Rabbi Nosson. Very nice. Okay. Remember Rabbi Nosson, I wanted to make a chart. I didn't remember now. Says Rabbi Nosson, what? The buyer doesn't have the right to break the kelim, as we say in Hebrew, cancel the deal, call the whole thing off. He can just get the money back, but get the extra money back, but keep the deal. That's Rabbi Nosson. Opinion number 2. Want to ask something? One second. Opinion number 2, Rabbi Yehuda Nossi. That's the second opinion. It's very important to remember. Make mental notes in your mind or in your notebooks. Rabbi Yehuda Nossi Oimer, Yad Moicher al Yoino. If the Moicher was the one cheated on, if the Moicher was the one schwindled, the Moicher has the upper hand. What do you mean having the upper hand? Means do what you want. Roitze Omer L'Ten Li Mikri, I ten li masha nicheni. Initani, excuse me. The says Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, if the moicher was cheated, then the moicher has the right to choose whatever he wants within a six, even within a six, not above six. He can either say, "I'm keeping the phone. Give me the no, excuse me, it's a moicher." He either says, "Give me back what I sold you, cancel the deal," or he says, "Keep the deal and give me the extra." So again, by the way, Rabbi Nosson and Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, it's not so clear. They're talking in cross lines. Rabbi Nosson spoke in a case what? When the buyer is being cheated and what we say can't cancel the deal, he just gets the extra. Yehuda Nasi says if the seller was the one that was underpaid, then the seller can do whatever he wants. Okay, just remember that in your minds. And now let's read the Mishnah again. Let's read our Mishnah in Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, because these two nuschos, we're going to compare them one to the other. Says the Mishnah, at the end of the Mishnah, Mi Shehutal Olav Yodal El Yoina. What's Mi Shehutal Olav? The underdog, the misken, whoever was cheated, whoever was the victim of that unfair situation, he has the upper hand. Okay, that means who? Either the koine or the moicher, right? The Mishnah is more liberal in general. The Mishnah says America. The Mishnah is the Mishnah Amerikait. The customer is always right, but not the customer is always right. The underdog is always right, whether the customer or the seller, right? Whichever one was underpaid or under this, what? Yeah, the nit ana, the one who's nit ana, yeah, he's the one who really always can do what he wants, either return or cancel the whole deal. But look at the example of the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah is an example that's important to know. If he wants, he can tell him, give me my money back, or just give me the extra you took from me. So the example used in the Mishnah is the example of the customer. Let's revise. Rabbi Nosson says if a customer was cheated, the customer was lied to, he doesn't have all the rights in the world. Rabbi Nosson is not an American. Rabbi Nosson says, no, the customer can do whatever he wants. According to Rabbi Nosson, the customer was cheated within a six, I'm talking. The whole discussion, by the way, is only within a six, within shtu. Just get everything else out of your minds, okay, for now. Within six, says Rabbi Nosson, you're the customer, we feel so bad for you. We hope to see you again in our shop, but we're not going to cancel the deal. All we're going to do is just what? Give you the extra money that we owe you. We charge you 700 instead of 600. We'll give you 100, but keep your phone. We're not taking it back. That's Rabbi Nosson. Kaz Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, completely different story. He talks about what happens if the seller was underpaid, right? If the seller was underpaid, the seller has the upper hand. He can do whatever he wants, either cancel or just ask for extra money. And now the Mishnah says something interesting. The Mishnah says now that the customer and buyer, both of them are always right. Meaning, both of them, whichever side was cheated, whichever side was wronged, that side can either cancel the whole thing or just get the extra. But the example used was of the customer. Adkan, these are the chess players on the board. Now we're going to have fun. It's not very hard and complicated, actually. There are only two ways that to explain the stira. Before we continue, you have to know that normally, and I'm not sure actually why, it's one of the conundrums I have in my life of studying Torah. The Mishnah usually assumes, the Gemara usually assumes the Mishnayos should somehow fit into opinions said outside in different brises. Now that this Mishnah, we're going to have a problem now, doesn't fit into neither Rabbi Yehuda Anasi nor Rabbi Nosson, and that's a problem. We don't like to say it's just a third opinion. Okay? The Pashtus. Frag the Gemara. Frag the Gemara. Mani Masnisin. Who's the author of this Mishnah? Who wrote that Mishnah? Lo Rabbi Nosson, lo Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. This Mishnah doesn't belong, so to speak, neither to Rabbi Nosson nor to Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. And the Gemara explains why. And now you can understand the question. Rabbi Nosson Masnisin Ktani Rotzo. The Mishnah says Rotzo. What does Rotzo mean? Do what you want. The Mishnah says buyer, seller, we love everybody. Whoever was cheated, whoever was wronged, Rotzo. If he wants to, cancel. If he wants to, he'll get the extra back. Okay? Ubraisa, like Tani Rotzo. According to Rabbi Nosson, no. If you talk about the buyer, no. The buyer can do whatever he wants. I'm sorry, there's limits. Rabbi Nosson says, what can the buyer do? Ask for the extra, but not cancel the deal. So Rabbi Nosson is not good with the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, maybe you want to tell me Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, then it does make sense. Bina in the Mishnah, funnily, they sort of meet in the back corner. Why? Both Rabbi Yehuda and Nossi in the Mishnah, what did they say? They spoke about being Yodol Elyoino, but it's not good. Mesnisin Ktani Loikeach, Braise Ktani Moicher. The Mishnah spoke about the buyer because the example the Mishnah used for the one who does whatever he wants is customer is always right. The example used by the Mishnah was specifically that the buyer, the customer, if he wants, he can do whatever. He can choose either to cancel completely or partially. And the brisa, which is Rabbi Yehuda, says the seller. Only the seller has the right to do that. Mashma, if the buyer wants to do that, then he cannot do whatever he wants. Funnily enough, Rabbi Yehuda believes that a buyer that's being cheated has more rights than in an equivalent case if the seller has more rights, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Seller who was cheated has more rights rather than a buyer who was cheated. He has less rights. Funnily enough, we're going to explain why. In any event, the Mishnah does not fit into anybody, right? Rabbi Nosson says, I don't believe in this do whatever you want business. And Rabbi Yehuda Nasi only applied do what you want to the seller, not to the buyer. Who is the Mishnah that says customers always right? Who believes in this Mishnah that says that the buyer can go back to the shop and say, no, I'm either canceling the whole deal or you give me the money back, the partial money? Who is that? Who's the author of the Mishnah? And as I told you, we see time and again that the Amoraim believe Mishnahs have to fit into one previous opinion mentioned in a different brisa. Siman, Zav, Rash are going to be 4 Amoraim expressing 3 opinions here. It's actually very easy. Amar Belozo, says Belozo, you know what? Tough. Oinozu, this Mishnah that talks about Oino are problematic Mishnah. Eini Yodea Mishnah. I don't know who wrote it. I really don't know who's the author of the Mishnah. So I would say, okay, so nobody wrote, so what? But Rashi in Gittin says, if I don't know who wrote the Mishnah, must be this Mishnah is wrong. Since we don't have a known opinion outside the Mishnah that says that, sounds like that Mishnah is off. Maybe other Rishonim explain otherwise. Maybe other Rishonim would say, we don't know who's the author, so it's a third person, maybe. But it's like the Mishnah isn't a mystery. It's either wrong or mysterious. But the Mishnah just really doesn't fit neither Rabbi Yehuda Nossi nor Rabbi Nosson. The Mishnah is orphaned. Let's collect tzedakah for the Mishnah. Rabba Omar, answer number 2. And Rabba does try to reconcile the Mishnah with someone. Omar Lo'elam Rabbi Nossoni. Really, Rabbi Nosson is the author of the Mishnah. How can you say that? Vetni nami bebraisa rotzo. Ay. You got the Braisa wrong, mister. Really, when the Rabbi Nosson spoke in the Braisa, what did he say? Customer is always right, which means, now let's reread the whole thing. Says Rabbi Nosson as follows, according to Rabba, according to Rove, according to Rove, which means, Rabba. According to Rabba, it goes as follows. Says Rabbi Nosson, a customer was cheated, he's always right. Yeah, and Mechavrusa said, and so afterwards, one of the Rishonim in the Shita Mekubetzet says, like him, I called Mechavrusa late night at 11 something, and I told him, the Shita is like you. The story is as follows. They're not talking cross-reference. They talk to each other, Nosson and Yehuda Nossi, according to the way we understand now. Rabbi Nosson is the author of the Mishnah. Rabbi Nosson believes customer is always right. If customer was cheated, customer, we protect the customer. Even in Israel, you have all kinds of societies to protect the Haganah Letzarchan. Yeah, customer is always right. You liar of a seller. Therefore, if he was cheated, the customer is more likely to be the underdog than misken. Then he can do whatever he wants. He can either return the whole item and cancel the whole deal, or just get the extra. Masha'en ken, say the Rishonim. If a seller was cheated, that's wrong. But then he cannot do whatever he wants. Then he cannot cancel the deal. He can only ask for the extra to be paid the extra that wasn't paid. He has rights, but limited. That's what Rabbi Nosson believes, and that's Rabbi Nosson's the author of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Nossi answers him straight to the point. They're not talking, different wavelengths. He says, I believe just the other way around. I believe poor seller. The seller is not the big fat guy that owns the 100 stores necessarily. Maybe it's a little shlemele who works 12 o'clock at night in the market to bring bread to his children. So he needs every penny. And that's why I believe more in seller's rights. The seller is always right, meaning if the seller was underpaid, says Rabbi Yehuda, who's not with our Mishnah, says Rabbi Yehuda Nossi, the seller was underpriced, he can either cancel the deal or do whatever he wants. Well, if the customer was cheated, he only has limited rights of just getting the extra. That's the picture. If you want to chart today, Davin Mahen should feel better. I'll be able to type. Rove Omar. Rove says just the other way around. Lo'elam Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rove says Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is the author of the Mishnah. How could that be? Excellent answer, which, by the way, we mentioned a few days ago. He says like this. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is the author of the Mishnah. Have you noticed what the Mishnah said? I told you. The Mishnah didn't say it's always the customer. The Mishnah said whoever was wronged is the one who has both options, Yodol Elyoino. And then the Mishnah brought one example of what? Of the buyer. Look, it's a jigsaw puzzle. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi in the Brisa mentioned that if the seller was wronged, then the seller was really, he's the one who can do whatever he wants. He can get either way, Yodel Elyoino. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda is very good with our Mishnah. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is the author of the Mishnah. He wants to tell you a general rule that everybody is right, buyer or seller, right? Either. And in the Mishnah, we gave one example of the seller and the buyer. And in the Brisa, the example of the seller. Put the two pieces of jigsaw puzzle together. That's Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, who, by the way, is the author of the Mishnah. Rav Ashi Daikanami. And Rav Ashi says what I already told you. Rav Ashi supports Rava and says, look, the Mishnah is meduyak. The Mishnah sounds very much like what we said. What did the Mishnah say? Diktani, echad elokech ve'echad hamoicher. At the beginning of the Mishnah, we said both buyer and seller, they both have rights. And we assume both were wronged. They both have both options. And all of a sudden, funnily enough, the one example we gave is halfway. Only one example of if the buyer was cheated. What about if the seller was cheated? Must be the case of the moicher is mishiraim. What shiraim was left behind, left out of the Mishnah. You want to know what happens if the seller was cheated? That's in the Brisa. That's exactly what in the Brisa. It's not a stira. It's a hashlama. It's completing. And therefore, our Mishnah is either with Rabbi Nosson fully, and he says what? Only the customer is always right, or the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda that says everyone is always right. The wronged person is right to do it either way. Baruch Hashem. Weiter? Good? Happy? Yes?
Said that under 6, everybody is malcha. The guy's a poor person. Why would he be malcha? Even if he's less than a 6.
No, he did. That's a nechna. The Rav Ashi there. No, because he spoke about the Mishnah. And it's only according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Ashi doesn't express his own opinion. Rav Ashi is explaining Rabbi Yehuda, which only appears in this Mishnah. We didn't speak about it up until now because Rabbi Yehuda's opinion wasn't yet on the stage. Now Rabbi Yehuda is on stage and Rav Ashi is explaining him. It's not his own opinion. He doesn't really believe in it. He says what Rabbi Yehuda explains. He explains Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, weiter. Now we come to a very fascinating sugiyah with a little bit of akdoma. I know what you're going to ask. And I'm telepathy. They pay people to be a telepathist. Yeah. So now, question is like this. You know very well, and you're right. Yeah, we've been through this almost every other day or many, many times. What happens, science fiction, if there's an issue in a building, leaking pipe, stuff, yeah, or anything like that in our building. Our two buildings compete, which has worse problems, I think. Anyway, yeah, we're online. Let's behave ourselves. So we all know that if the Torah says that the upstairs guy doesn't have to pay, but everyone in the building agreed that he does have to pay from the leaking pipe, whatever, then he does have to pay, right? In other words, when halacha at the end of Bava Metzia, it says at the end of our Masechta, it says something about the grama, whatever, leaking pipe, and the guy, an avrech, would come to the basin and say, "Excuse me, it says in the Gemara that my neighbor has to pay." But if there's a takanon in the building, or even a minhag Medina, everyone in town or in the country have a different minhag than the one mentioned in the Gemara, that's okay. We can be flexible with halacha as long as we don't touch Yoredeya, we don't touch, different people marrying each other or eating chazir, then as long as din mamonos, we can decide whatever we want. Give me one exception to that rule, even with money. What about if somebody lends someone money and they both agree with no heter iska, no heter iska, don't tell me heter iska, okay? They both decide, I'm willing to take ribbis, says the malve, and the borrower says, I'm willing to pay ribbis. Two adults consenting. Let's move to Tel Aviv. Why? But they both want. Oh, so even though it's money, some money matters are not flexible. Some money matters. The Torah says it's wrong even if both adults agree. Not everyone two adults want to do is okay, yeah? To say the least, right? Including taking ribbis. Okay, very nice. Nice, that's one exception. Now we're going to talk about the middle case. What do you mean the middle case? Sometimes the Torah gets, I would say, half specific. When it's ribbis, the Torah is specific. The Torah says, don't take ribbis, it's like eating chazir. Don't pay ribbis, it's like eating ham. Just osir, yeah? No, nobody cares what you think about it, okay? Mashenka and leaking pipe. Leaking pipe doesn't say anywhere in the Torah, thou shall not, whatever. It's not the 11th commandment, thou shall pay for the leaking water for Lachish 20, yeah? It's a general halacha of nezikin. There's a general idea of nezikin, not to harm each other, not to hurt each other. How we interpret it is there is a default, and then it's up to us. Now we're going to see two cases. One of them is oino, where the Torah is being partially specific. Let's go now and dive into the new case after this introduction. Itma with the last narrow line. A person who's a seller tells his friend, or buyer, by the way, let's say it's a seller, I'm going to sell you something. Listening carefully to the, most probably that's the case. I did not yet sell you anything. Listen, anybody who wants to buy my phone, I'm strapped for cash. You know who needs the phone. People call me all day long. Who wants my amazing, beautiful phone? And I make a condition with you, Ellen. Yeah, Ellen, I'm going to sell it to you. But before we talk about the price, before we find out the price, I want to make a condition with you. Condition that you will never claim oino from me. Can you sign on the paper? There are two edim here. There are many edim. There's Tzvi and there's your good friend right here from South Africa, Rabbi Yosef, your good friend, and Tzvi. They're testifying. They testify that you said that it's okay for you to buy the phone and you will never, I'm the seller, you'll never be able, I make a condition, you'll never be able to go back to me and claim oino. So if I sell the phone for 600 shekels and you'll find out it was 500, according to Shmuel, then what? You'll never be able to claim it back. I'm not telling whether there is or there isn't oino. I didn't yet decide the price. I'm telling you that even if we find out in the market, whatever, we find out that there is oino, you'll never be able to claim it back from me. You guys think that's okay? Everyone would say probably yes. Well, it's just mominous, not so simple. Rav Omar yesh lo alav oino. Says Rav, if Ellen finds out that I cheated and I lied to him, and I really sold it for, let's say, 6 more, or even more than a 6, he can come back and claim it back from me, which means I cannot make a condition against the Torah. Interesting. Oino is not like a leaking pipe. Oino in the world of Rav, generally speaking, before we're going to dive in the world of Rav, oino is something the Torah forbade. The Torah says, don't do oino, and I cannot make conditions against the Torah. The reason why I'm not accepting questions now is, first of all, nobody raised his hand, and secondly, everything will slowly morph and be explained. Rav says, oino still applies. Don't make a condition against the Torah. The Shmuel Amar, en lo alav oino. Shmuel says, no. If we made a condition between the two of us, what's the problem? It's like the leaking pipe. Everyone in Lachish 20 decided the leaking pipe is not being paid. Good. We are 2 adults. We decided I'm okay. I'm a rich guy, or you're a rich guy, Ellen. You don't mind me, cheating you and you pay extra. What's the problem, says Shmuel, right? Oh, let's go nice and slow. Lema, let us try and decipher what's his business here between Rav and Shmuel. Rav, what did Rav say? You cannot go against the Torah even in oino. Lema Rav de Omer Rabbi Meir, uShmuel de Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Let's try and connect Rav to Rabbi Meir, the Tana, and Shmuel to another Tana called Rabbi Yehuda, meaning the Tanya. famous brisa appears many times in Shas. It's a big story. This brisa and Iyun. We can make it very simple. Omer leisha. A chassan stands under the huppah and he's so excited, wringing his hands. And what does he say? Surprises everyone. Aret mukudeshes li al menas she'en lech alai she'er ksus ve'oino. Says the chassan, midoraisa, a husband is obligated to provide his wife with three things: kesef, money, and geld. No. Kesef she'er, that's money. Yeah, according to some, it's tashmish. Ksus is clothes. He has to buy nice clothes, summer and winter. Yeah, and oina, he has to have relations with her. It's his obligation to please her and have relations. So now the chosen comes and he says, to her, Aret mukudeshes li, you're mukudesh to me. I'm making a condition. You're my wife only in condition that I'm exempt, meaning, I have to choose my words, to ein lach alai. You will not be able to ever claim against me. You can't claim your rights. I'm using specific words here, as you'll explain later. Not I don't have shaksus boino. You, honey, kala, all starry-eyed, you will never, I make a condition, you'll never be able to claim from me any of the three things. And only in that condition I marry you. Yeah? And she keeps quiet, which means she's interested. Such an amazing guy, she doesn't need any of the three. Says Rabbi Meir, in that case, she's married, and the condition is batel. Well, what does that mean? He will have to provide her with everything. She's married, the maisa is chal, and because you're not allowed to go against the Torah. When the Torah says to a husband, you have to provide your wife with money and with the other type of money and with the tashmish, with the intimacy, all these things the Torah says is something husband has to do to his wife. It's not up to you. You can't speak against the Torah. And therefore your condition is out the window. So maybe she's not married. Says the Torah, no, you're stuck, you put your foot in it. You know why? Because your words, Harat Mukudeshes, apply, and the condition is shtuyot. It's like you said, Harat Mukudeshes li, almanas, you'll fly to outer space in half a second without working for NASA. Yeah, almanach to kumi l'shamayim. In other words, when you talk against the Torah, it's empty talk, it's a joke. And therefore your serious words are taken Mukudeshes li, and your condition is ignored. You can ask many questions here. You see that's not his das, that's nice. But if he phrased himself that way, you're Mekudash, and then the Tnai is obliterated, the Tnai is nothing. And therefore the Kiddushin stay, says Rabbi Meir. In other words, Rabbi Meir says, Ein odamata mashakosu v'Torah. Let's refocus. No, let's see Rabbi Yehuda and then refocus, and then regroup everything. And I explained what I meant before with the pipe. Rabbi Yehuda argues on Rabbi Meir and says, the double should be moment no kayam. Says Rabbi Yehuda, no. There's a big difference between ksher v'ksus and oino. What's the difference? Ksher v'ksus is money. He owes her money. Kesef, money, and geld and clothes. Every summer, winter, nice fashionable clothes from wherever, from the kinyon. Now, those things she can be moichel. She is agreeing to marry this amazing, beautiful Talmid Chacham, smart, handsome guy, and she's not interested in claiming her rights of the money. What do you care? A person may make a condition against, in inverted commas, the Torah, as long as it's with things of money. That's like a broken pipe. If everyone in Lachish 28 decided that the broken pipe is ex halacha, the wife says, listen, for me, I'm okay without his money. You know something? I'm a top partner in a top law firm. I don't really need his money. Or I'll be a beggar. I don't know what. It's her rights. The oino is tzara guf. For her to be moichel oina, she can't. According to most Rishonim, she can't say I'm moichel the intimacy, the relationship, because that's something in her body. And something in the body, person is not really moichel. As we saw at the end of a choivel and its Shulchan Aruch, if I tell someone, break my phone, Al Menaseh will not claim against you can break my phone, and I won't claim anything. If I say to someone, punch my nose and break my nose, and I won't take him to Beis Din, I can't take him to Beis Din. Because the physical tsar is something a person is never really moichel, even if he says he does. If a woman says, I'm moichel the sexual relationship, she's not really moichel. Okay, this video is now above 18, yeah? She's not really moichel, it's a physical thing. Wait a second, what's going on here? Let's reframe everything. Again, we have here a case of two issues which are monetary issues, but they're not exactly like a broken pipe, meaning a regular halacha of I shouldn't hurt you, you shouldn't hurt me, that's very flexible. But when the Torah told you specifically, mister, don't do oino, don't underprice. And the Torah specifically told the Choson, you are mechuyav parshas mishpatim. It's a lav d'oraisa. Don't take away her money or her sexuality things. That those things are forced specifically in the Torah. That's a debate between Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. In other words, the Sheksus one is debate from Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda, and the oina is a debate between Rav and Shmuel, and we try to connect it. Rav, and he seems to be Rav is friendly with Rabbi Meir. They say, listen, that's not a broken pie business. The Torah says, don't do enough, so don't. So even if both sides agree, I'm not makir in that. The other side can say, I still follow the laws of the Torah. It's not that amorphous in general. On the other hand, yeah, Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel say no. At the end of the day, it's money. If Ellen is willing to buy my phone for me for 500 shekels, not mamish. By the way, I didn't tell you that I'm lying. I said in general, a condition, don't come to me with claims. You agreed not to come with claims. Good, says Shmuel. And Rav Yehuda says the same about the woman under the chuppah, all star-eyed. He's so handsome, so nice, so Talmid Chacham. She didn't marry him for the money. It's all right. She won't claim them. That's a machlokas begadol, the way we want to see it now. That's the way we look at it right now. Okay, that is, it's matne al mashikosu b'Torah. Are you allowed to make a t'nai, seemingly not following the laws of the Torah, when it's a specific halacha related to monetary issues? That's very nice, Baruch Hashem, definition, the way we see it now. The question is, as Baruch Reins probably wants to say now, it's not so good that two Ameroim repeat Machlokes Tanoim. It's called in nice English to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, why do they have to say the same thing again? Therefore, the Gemara is now quickly divorcing, excuse the pun, disengaging the Machlokes regarding marriage from the Machlokes regarding the Ona'a. Yeah, me selling my item for maybe too much. Explains the Gemara. Yeah, Omar Lacharav, says Rav, no, Anod de Amri, I said what I said. I feel Rabbi Yehuda. No. Even Rabbi Yehuda would agree with me. Even Rabbi Yehuda, which was liberal over there, and says the Kala can waiver her rights. Here he would agree with me that the buyer cannot waiver his rights when I may sell him something too expensive. Why? Ad kan lo kamel bidosam. Only over there Rabbi Yehuda says what he says about the Kala. Ela de yado v'kamachlo. Fakert. I'm with Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says the Kala knows very well what he means. He specifically told her, lady, I love you, but I am not going to be mefarnes you. Haret mukudeshesli. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to buy 2 barekas for breakfast. I'll pay for mine. You'll pay for yours. I hope you had him not savings. She knows very, very well what she's heading, and he is being very specific. No money from me outright. I'm going to call her for the pay 0 shekel a month, and you hopefully be successful in your whatever career. Avalocha over here, miyoda demochil. Oh, as I told you, over here when I sell Ellen the phone for too much, I did not tell him it's too much, and you know what? I don't even if I, the seller, know it's too much. I made listen, mark the word general condition. Or I'll make even a better case, which I told Mechavrusa. What happens if I'm just trying to accentuate it more. What happens if I tell Yaakov, you're a good friend. You know, Yaakov, let's be friendly with each other. I'm going to sell you in the next month all kinds of things. You just made Aliyah. I have all kinds of things to sell. I have a fish tank to sell. By the way, it's true. Fish tank to sell. Yeah. A fish tank, and I have another thing to sell. And you know what? Let's make a general condition. Whatever I sell you, be nice to me. Don't claim I know. Okay? I don't know if there is I know. You don't know if there is I know. Because you didn't really know that there is I know, you hope that there isn't I know. It's like the terms and conditions, a small print. You hope it's never going to happen. In that case, because you're not fully knowledgeable of a specific loss, even Rabbi Yehuda, which thinks you can go against the Torah and not use your rights, over here, you don't really know what you're heading. Yeah, it's not, by the way, I did not tell you, Ellen, this phone is worth 100 and I'm selling you for 200. No, I told you, listen, let's decide on the price before we say anything. Oh, let's quickly, before we start anything, let's decide if there's a no, you don't claim it. And you say yes, but you don't know that there is a no. Your general, it's like a smachta. You go and play the roulette with the other people in the casino, hoping you'll win. It's not really what you want. And therefore, even to me, says Rav, everyone would agree with me. Again, so Rav is really singing 2 songs. Mitzad Rabbi Meir, says Rav, you just can't go against the Torah. even in monetary things, yeah, that are specific. And mitzad Rabbi Yehuda that says you can't, it's only by a kala who's told clearly no breakfast, no lunch, no supper, yeah, and no something else at night, and she beseder. She knows what she's heading. Yeah. Masha'enken what? Masha'enken in my case, he doesn't really know that Oino is here. At the end of Oino, that surprised him. Now with Shmuel Omar. Shmuel also wants to disengage himself from that tangle of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Shmuel Omar, another Amri Afil Rabbi Meir. I says Shmuel, even Rabbi Meir would agree with me. Oh wow. Even Rabbi Meir, the hardliner, that says the woman cannot waive her rights. Here, you will agree with me when it comes to money of the oino. The guy may say, "I'm giving up the oino." Why? Ad kan lo kama Rabbi Meir hosam. Over there, Rabbi Meir says that it's wrong to go against the Torah. That chosan is doing something wrong. Look at Rashi, the second Rashi, beautiful Rashi. Second Rashi, please look because it's beautiful. When he's under the chuppah standing there, he's eradicating, he's pulling out, he's going against the Torah. Shetil olav sheksus vayno. The Torah says, you chosen, once you marry, right away you have the obligation of sheksus vayno. He says, I'm not mechuyev. Excuse me, reform? What are you? Which chasana is that? Who's the Masar Kiddushin? Rabbi Cynthia or Rabbi Elizabeth? Rashi adds an important point. Rashi says, even if 2 days, 3 days later, she'll say, "Oh, please give me some money." He'll give her. He's not mekayim his chiyuv. He's giving a gift, but he's not really mechuyev as a chassan, as a husband, right? He said, I don't have husband obligations. Yeah, elamai, I'll give you when I feel like." That's also wrong. So over there says Rabbi Meir, Mister, you're against the Torah. Aval hocho. But over here, I'm continuing the Gemara, back to the Gemara. Over here, miyema de ka'oka midi. Over here, when the condition is general, that's the reason why it's better. I'm not saying I have no oino. It says if there is oino, maybe I don't decide yet. I didn't yet decide the price. I don't know if he's lying or saying the truth. By the way, I don't have X-ray to the heart of the mocher. I don't know what he thinks, but Lamaisa, as far as we can see, as Dayanim, when they spoke and he wavered his rights, the Kona, we didn't know what's going on. We're not ochre. We're not saying I have no oino. If there is oino, don't claim it back in the future. As of now, we decided on the price, and we both think it's fair. If we find out later that it's too much or too this, then don't come to me. But I'm not ochre it right now. The chosan, the second he puts the ring, the second they are in the cheder yichud, at that very second is luchum cherksus vaino. That's it. That very second, and you right away mid-air collision, face-to-face collision with the Torah. That Rabbi Meir doesn't like. But Rabbi Meir would agree with me, says Shmuel, when the condition is general, before we made the deals, and maybe yes, maybe no, it's flexible enough that it's okay, not called to go against the Torah. One more paragraph and I'll listen to your question. One more thing to tweak within Shmuel. One more idea within Shmuel. Omar Avanan, and then we'll summarize and hear your question. Omar Avanan, L'didi mefarshel l'minedem al Shmuel. Avanan says to me, Mar Shmuel is Shmuel, by the way. Mar Shmuel and Shmuel is the same person. Mar Shmuel, the master Shmuel, explained to me what he meant. A person who tells his friend, Menas, now listen carefully to the words, and I'm choosing now Tosfos over Rashi. Listen carefully to the words. If a person says, I'm selling you this item, in condition that you will never claim against me, never charge me, claim against me the oino. Ein la lav oino, says Shmuel. Shmuel sticks to his gun. That's not oino. It's two adults. It's money. Well, what do you want? And we're not even going so much against the Torah. We say, if there is oino, don't ever come back to me with oino, like you have conditions in shops, right? You always have the small print, the thing you have to tick on the internet and you never read. This long Megillah, and the end there's a box with a tick. You never read it. There are lots of conditions there. Maybe. That's all very nice. However, if he uses the words uncarefully, almanashen boy oino, if he says almanasa that is no oino, ariyesh boino, there is oino, which means if the person either selling the phone or under the chuppah, by the way, I'm connecting it again, says, I'm selling you the phone in condition that there is no hilchas oino. I'm making a condition that halacha of oino doesn't apply here. That sounds like which rabbi? Jennifer. You can't do that. To say that Ona'a applies be'etzem because the Kodesh Baruch Hu decided, you have the right to claim. I ask you, I demand, yeah, don't use those rights. That I can say, right? But to say there is no Ona'a, that's going against the Torah. Of course there is Ona'a. Yeah, that's how Torah explains it. And the same thing goes, and I remember the sugiyah, and I learned it by you many years ago, by a chasana also, by Kiddushin with the Tanai. Aratim Kudeshesli, I stressed it before. Aratim Kudeshesli, you are here by my wife on condition that you will not claim from me what I really owe you, yeah, but you'll never claim it from me. That's okay, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Conceptually, there is a chiyuv. I ask you to never use it. But if he says, Almanat she'en sherksus boino, I want a new kind of kiddushin, a new type of kiddushin. Oh, maybe something for the opposition to talk about now. A new type of kiddushin. That the kiddushin we eradicate, we take away be'etzem the entire chiyuv sherksus boino. No, sir. You can't say there is no sherksus boino. Which other chassan are going to make? There's no. It's against the Torah. Even Shmuel agrees that that doesn't work. Okay. Quick questions now. I'd like to continue, but there's room for questions now. Last session for the day of questions. I would like to finish that. Nice. Weiter. Meisivi. Okay. Meisivi question now. Question from a brisa. Let's challenge somebody here from a brisa. Soon we'll see who's challenged. Anoisev anoisen be'emuna. Be'emono be'emuna. Noisev anoisen be'emuna. There are two gersos. Amona or emuna. Anyways, amana or emuna means faith, good trust. So Taisa says basically, Noisev anoisen be'emuna is the cousin of the one who says no or no, which means I tell you, how much I paid for the phone? Please trust me. I paid for the phone 200 shekels, and I'm now asking you for 230, right? And you say, I trust you. If you trust me, it's as if you waived your rights. Yeah, you can't say later. Later you find out that I lied and I paid for it 150. I make a much bigger cut. You can't come back to me because you believed me. When I say whatever you say means even if I find otherwise, I'm okay with it. That's how we understand. That's our guy. A person who says prior to the deal, I make a condition that if in future we find Ona'a in one of the business deals, there would know you'll never claim Ona'a back from me. Ela love Ona'a. There is no Ona'a. Oh, who's happy now? Shmuel, right? That's mamish like Shmuel said. Shmuel said that you made a condition. No Ona'a. The condition works. LeRav. Now Rav is in trouble. Why? LeRav de Omar. What did Rav say? Anod de Amri afilu Rabbi Yehuda. Homani. Rav blocked all the exits. What did Rav say? Rav said both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda both agree with me that when he makes such a condition, it's a bad condition that doesn't apply. Either it's Rabbi Meir because you go against the Torah, or Rabbi Yehuda because you're not being clear. Well, excuse me, there's a brisa by someone, and as we said, brisas have to go with someone. Who is the author of the brisa according to you, Rav? According to you, everybody agrees that to make a condition against Ona'a is bad. It doesn't apply, right? Omar Abaye, therefore Abaye says, Abaye says we have to take 10 steps backwards and remove the crown of Rav partially. Machvarta, it's clear, must be Rav Omar ki Rabbi Meir u'Shmuel Omar ki Rabbi Yehuda. Wow. We must say Rav only said what he said according to Rabbi Meir. That what's wrong with Ona'a is what? To go against the Torah. Like it's wrong to stand under the chuppah and say, I'm never giving you a dime. That's it. Because we must leave what? We must leave opening for that brisa to exist, and that brisa is Rabbi Yehuda. Even Rav should agree that the brisa that says that you may ask to waiver your rights of Ona'a from the customer goes with Rabbi Yehuda, and then it's good. Rove Omar, Rove no, Rove manages everything. Rove dances at both weddings. Loi kasha, not difficult. It's all very good. Why? Kan bistam, kan b'miforesh. Very, very good. I can explain the brisa very well with Rav and with Rabbi Yehuda. Easy. Listen to this before the brisa. According to Rav, what was Rabbi Yehuda's issue? Why is Rabbi Yehuda is very liberal? You lady, you don't want the money? Mazel tov, it's good. So why is Rabbi Yehuda telling us, according to Rav, that if Ellen wants to buy the phone from me for more money, it's not good? Because Ellen does know what I'm talking about. Ellen doesn't realize how sly I am. Ellen doesn't know that really it costs more, right? Over there, she knows. He's open with her. Over here, I'm saying, if there is a no, then don't come back to me. He didn't really know that there is Ona'a, right? Over here, I hear the Brisa says that Ona'a applies. You know Ona'a applies, but he told him outright. But he told him outright. He was open with him. If he was open with him, then even according to Rav, according to Rabbi, of course Ona'a is out the window. The Tanya, as the Brisa says very well, it's like the chassan standing out of the chuppah. I tell Ellen, my phone is worth 100. I'm asking you for 200, and you said yes. Of course, then it works. The Tanya, look at the Brisa. When do we say that there's an issue and Ona'a really we say doesn't apply? Bistam. I'm in the dark. I don't know what's going on. Then I say, excuse me, says Ellen to me, 150 for that phone? It's really 100. Give me back the 50. Or maybe cancel the deal, whatever. Give me more. He never told me anything. And that, of course, is what Rabbi Meir says. Excuse me. That's what Rav says according to Rabbi Yehuda. Let's say the seller was explicit and eloquent and clear. He told the buyer, verbatim, this chefetz which I'm selling you for 200, I'm selling you for what? 200, knowing full well it's worth 100. I'm open with you. I told you outright, Ellen, the phone is worth 100. I'm strapped for cash. I need 200. Give me 200. You gave 200. Mazel tov. Of course, everyone would agree. Even Rav would agree that according to Rabbi Yehuda, at least, I'm not talking about Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is against going against the Torah. But in Rabbi Yehuda, the idea is unclarity. I'm clear. So even in Ona'a, it's like the chasana. I know. We both know about it. The chen lokeach. And so is the other way. She'omer lemoiche. What about the other way? Let's say a buyer is being the difficult one, and the buyer is telling the seller, I'm buying from you something for only 100. I'm offering you 100 as a buyer. I know it's worth 200. Please give me a reduction. I know it's 200. Give me a 50% reduction, even though it's not end of season. And they agreed. The many conditions. And I love very good. Beautiful. Nekuda. And Mimel, it's very good. Let's summarize. So the machlokes about the chasana is the same. Machlokes about kiddushin with the Tanai Sheksus Voina, that always remains the same. Rabbi Meir says you're going a little bit too far against the Torah. Even though you're not saying mamish, there is no Sheksus Voina. But to mekadesh a woman on condition she'll never use her rights, that's not Ratzon Hashem. It's not the marriage Hashem had in mind, even if both sides agree. I want to add something, a shkafik over here. All you guys are young, Shana Rishona. There is a question, what happens if a woman wants to be Moicha the Shana Rishona? He says, no, go to learn in Kollel all day long, and then to gym, and then to your friend. I can be alone, Shana Rishona, you'll be alone. I think the Minchas Chinuch says, she can't be Moichel. It's not up to her to be Moichel. If they have a lousy marriage right from the start, the kids are going to suffer, everyone's going to suffer, right? In other words, good marriage is not the mechil of one side. They both are mechuyev to the marriage. Get it? Here she's mechuyev. It's a chiyuv. She needs the money, even if she says she doesn't. That's what Hashem wants. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Rabbi Yehuda says as long as it's not tashmish, she cannot be moichel. Tashmish, she can't be moichel. It's not real to be moichel. Marriage without tashmish, not a marriage with love. What? No. Let's say there are kids. Let's say it's mishamish enough time for kids. But let's say the guy's a chiyuv oino twice a week. Let's say, yeah, or every day, or what? She's moichel then. No, she can't be moichel lechatchila. She can be moichel later. But not the whole kiddushin without chiyuv oino. That's the machlokas over there. What about the machlokas over here? Machlokas over here is different. Over here, Rav says what? Rav says here there's one difference between here and marriage. That difference is for the good and for the bad. The difference between my phone and the marriage, there are many differences, yeah, is what? I tell you before I did the deal, not at the same time. The deal we're going to do now, if there may be a in future, when we find out later, don't come back to me. But I didn't attach it clearly. So Shmuel says, well, according to Rabbi Meir, over here is better because I'm not going so much against the Torah, right? And Rav says even Rabbi Yehuda would agree to me because it's not so clear. Over there, Rabbi Yehuda says you have to be clear with the woman and tell her exactly. Here, because it's fuzzy, it's not so clear to the other side. That's where it's worse. Each one took the other side. Mazel tov. May they live happily ever after. May all husbands be able to be mefanes the wives, the parnasa, benachas, the bekavod. We'll not talk about the other issues now. And the Elos Hashem, all will be well. We are a few lines before the Mishnah. Ton Rabbanon. See you tomorrow. Wish me for Shlema. I'm in great pain in my arm. Akiva ben Nechom, if you want to daven for me, thank you very much. And I'm hearing your questions right now. Yes, Atzlocha Rabbi, have a terrific day.